You ran against Schwarzenegger, and I guess you did that to kind of mess up his day, or at least throw some impedance there.
You know, I've learned an enormous amount from running. It was a very short run, a very unusual election. And I pulled out before election day because it was clear I wasn't going to win, and I thought then we might as well try and stop the recall from winning, which would have meant that Gray Davis would have stayed and Schwarzenegger would not have been elected. The things that I learned had a lot to do with the power of the internet. In fact, the Huffington Post would not exist had I not run in that race and seen how powerful the internet was. And I talk about how failure is often a stepping stone to success, because I failed in that race, you know, obviously. But that failure taught me so much, and it led to something that has really worked, the Huffington Post. And I find so many people are afraid of taking a risk, trying something new, because they may fail. And so we hold ourselves back because of that fear of failure. So I think it's one of the most corrosive fears we can have, because failure is part of anybody's success. I'm sure, you know, you've succeeded in your life, but you must have failed somewhere along the way, because everybody has, right?
Oh, gloriously. Oh, yeah, in public, yeah. Early on with the Huffington Post, there was a lot of people who seemed to want it to fail. And I have my ideas as to why some of those sentiments may have been expressed, but why do you think that was?
Well, first of all, you know, there were even naysayers among my friends. You know, there are many of my friends who are saying things like, why do you need that? Why do you need a new venture? You know, you have your books. You know, I had written 10 books by then. You're a columnist, you have your radio show, you speak, you know, why do you need the internet? You know, the internet is a business for 20-year-olds, you know, why do you need to get into that risky business? So even people who loved me were kind of against it. And then I remember on the first day, May 9th, 2005, you know, the first day we went live, I remember reading a review by Nikki Fink in the LA Weekly, in which she said things like, the Huffington Post is the movie equivalent of Gigli, Heaven's Gate, and Ishtar all rolled into one. Ooh. The Madonna of political reinvention, that was me, has reinvented herself one time too many. I've learned it by heart, and I quote it in my last book, because I want to show people how it doesn't really matter. You know, criticism only matters if we internalize it. And as it happened a year later, Nikki Fink gave a very nice interview in which she said that the Huffington Post had become an indispensable part of the internet, and she asked me if she could blog for us, and I said I would be delighted, and she has been blogging for us, and we've been linking to her stories, because another very important lesson that I've learned in my life is that holding a grudge is the worst thing you can do to yourself. Forget the other person. That other person may no longer even remember who you are. So we're only hurting ourselves when we hold grudges. And I try to stay very current in my life, you know, today. That's what we have. That's where we are. And everything that happened in the past, you know, good and bad, is no longer part of today.
I always thought, at first, you know, I saw some of those reviews, the Ishtar one. I just thought there must be some resistance to a fearless woman, even in our great America, who's speaking up. You know, I just thought maybe there's some resistance there. We're like, you know, like, what does this female think she's doing? Shouldn't she just be shutting up?
Well, you know, Marlo Thomas, you know, famously said that if you're a man, to be called ruthless, you have to be Joe McCarthy. If you're a woman, you just have to put somebody on hold. So, you know, there is definitely a different standard. You're absolutely right, even in our emancipated America in 2007. But also, I just want to clarify that when I use the word fearless, I don't mean being without fear, because I don't think there's any human being that's completely without fear. I mean not letting our fears hold us back. You know, that's really what I mean by fearless. It's the mastery of fear rather than the absence of fear.
Do you think that we Well, I think that our freedom of speech is under great attack. Do you agree? And do you think it's more from government censorship or corporate media consolidation?
Well, I actually think that there is obviously an enormous amount of consolidation that has happened, but the blogosphere and what's happening online is a great countervailing force, because you can start writing without needing a printing press and millions of dollars, and then if you're good and if you resonate with people, others link to you. I mean, the power of linking is enormous, and suddenly you can find yourself touching, millions of people you never knew, and they never knew you, and it can happen instantly. So it's just a huge phenomenon that is really working in amazing ways to provide this countervailing force. At the same time, I think we have internalized a lot of censorship. Some of the worst censorship is the self-censorship.
Yeah.
It's what we are not saying because we don't want to be dubbed anti-American or unpatriotic. So that's where we need to stand up for who we are and bring in the passion of who we are and what we believe in into what we are saying.
I couldn't agree more. I think we've lost a lot of kind of the American spirit. What it is to be quintessentially American is to be outspoken. In closing, let me thank you for being on the show. I admire your bravery to saying what you say and continue to say in the manner you say it, and for being a woman and doing that, because I think you open a lot of doors for a lot of other women in this country who should be speaking up louder and with more presence. And I think you are one of those people who helps ignite that. And so thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, and don't forget to blog on the Huffington Post.
Oh, well, you're going to give me my password. I'm in.
Exactly. You're in.
All right.